30 easy Appalachian homemade snacks from the 1970s no one makes anymore. The kitchen in the mountains was never quiet. Firewood crackling in the stove, a cast iron pan warming slowly, and your grandmother somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains knowing every proportion by heart, never writing a recipe down. Those things are gone from kitchens now. Here are 30 homemade snacks that families across the mountains of West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Carolinas made back in the 1970s. Snacks almost nobody makes anymore. Stay until the end, because item number 7 on this list was so common in Appalachian kitchens that nearly every home kept the jar tucked behind the stove, and most people today have never even heard of it. Number 1. Cornbread with sorghum molasses. In rural Appalachian communities, corn was king, and a simple cornbread mixed with cane molasses was the afternoon snack in almost every mountain home. Without an electric oven to set and forget, women judged the right moment purely by the smell drifting off the wood fire. Served warm, with butter melting into it, it was the kind of food that made an entire household stop whatever it was doing. Number 2. Fried dried apple cakes. Before refrigerators reached every mountain home, apples were sliced and sun-dried each summer, kept in cloth sacks until winter came. Through the 70s, many families still rehydrated those slices, mixed them with sugar and cinnamon, wrapped them in simple dough, and fried them in lard until golden. The smell rolled through the whole neighborhood, and children showed up out of nowhere, as if they had caught that sweet steam on the wind. Number 3. Homemade party mix with mountain seasoning. The mix of cereal squares, pretzels, and nuts was common in any American household, but in Appalachian kitchens it picked up a particular edge, an extra pinch of cayenne grown in the backyard, and sometimes a spoonful of lard instead of butter. Baked low and slow, stirred every 15 minutes, it was only done when the whole kitchen smelled like garlic and warm butter. Every family had its own secret ratio, and nobody said theirs out loud. Number 4. Popcorn over a wood stove. Before electricity reached the more remote parts of the mountains, popcorn was made in a heavy pot set over an open flame, shaken hard until the sound of popping kernels faded into silence. It finished with melted butter poured slowly and coarse salt, enough to leave your fingers white. It was the sound that marked Friday nights in any mountain home long before microwave popcorn existed. Number 5. Celery stuffed with peanut butter and raisins. After school, it was common to find celery stalks already filled and waiting on the kitchen table. Peanut butter was spread thick into the groove of the stalk, and raisins were pressed in one by one, forming little rows that looked like ants marching in line. It needed no stove and no supervision beyond a mother with 10 free minutes. Number 6. Cheese ball rolled in mountain pecans. Every family gathering in the Appalachians had a cheese ball at the center of the table, and the recipe was never quite the same from house to house. Softened cream cheese, sharp shredded cheddar, a splash of Worcestershire sauce, and chopped onion formed the base. The difference was in the coating. Many mountain families used pecans picked from their own backyard trees, lightly toasted before rolling the whole ball through them. Number 7. The hidden breakfast. Cornmeal fritters with wild honey. This was the secret kept behind the stove in nearly every mountain kitchen. Small cornmeal fritters fried in lard, drizzled with honey gathered from wild hives in the region. Simple, quick, made on any rushed morning, but rarely found outside those isolated kitchens. Most people today have never tasted anything quite like it. Number 8. Sweet popcorn with molasses and toasted peanuts. The same pot that fried the cornbread served, the very next day, to melt brown sugar and molasses into a sticky golden syrup. Poured over freshly popped corn and mixed with locally grown toasted peanuts, this sweet mountain popcorn cost pennies and fed a room full of children without a single complaint. Number 9. Celery stalks stuffed with cheese and olives. On any appetizer tray at Appalachian family gatherings, There were celery stalks stuffed with a mix of cream cheese, chopped green olives, and a touch of the olive brine for sharpness. They sat lined up between carrots and radish roses, and they always disappeared before the main course was served. Number 10. Spicy cheese straws from the southern mountains. Sharp cheddar dough, cold butter, and enough cayenne to give it bite without going overboard. The recipe traces back to the 19th century American South, and it took hold in mountain kitchens through the 70s, when every gathering called for something small and crisp. Stored in a tin, they still snapped clean a week later. Number 11. Onion and sour cream dip with ruffled potato chips. A packet of dried onion soup mix stirred into thick, sour cream, chilled and served with ruffled potato chips. This was the dip that showed up at every cookout, every card game, every Sunday football gathering across mountain communities. Some families added fresh chives from the garden. The base never changed. Number 12. Puffed rice treats with marshmallow. Butter melted slowly in a big pot, then a whole bag of marshmallows stirred in until smooth and white, filling the house with the smell of warm sugar. Puffed rice cereal folded in last, and the mixture was pressed by buttered hands into a pan. The trick was pressure. Too hard and it turned to brick. Too little and it fell apart when cut. Number 13. Chicken liver wrapped in bacon. Considered too bold for most people today, this appetizer of chicken liver marinated in soy sauce and brown sugar, wrapped in crisp bacon and pinned with a toothpick, was served on special occasions across the mountains. The combination of tender liver, smoky bacon, and sweet marinade separated the hosts who truly knew how to cook from the ones who just opened a bag of chips. Number 14. Canned clam dip with cream cheese. A can of minced clams, drained and folded into softened cream cheese, lemon juice, and a touch of horseradish. This simple dip traveled from the coastal regions all the way into Appalachian Mountain kitchens, where it was served cold with crackers at nearly every family gathering through the 60s and 70s. Number 15. Mountain trail mix. Peanuts, raisins, and chocolate pieces mixed without any exact measurement, packed into a paper bag for hikes along the trails of the Appalachian Mountains. This mix went on school trips, on drives along the winding mountain roads, and on afternoons fishing at the local creek. Every family had its own version, with sunflower seeds or coconut flakes, but the rule was always the same: make it at home and make enough to share. Number 16. Mountain pimento cheese. In the southern Appalachians, pimento cheese was never bought. It was made at home, and every family recipe was slightly different and a little sacred. Sharp cheddar grated by hand, chopped pimento, and just enough mayonnaise to bind it all together. Spread inside celery or over white bread, it showed up at every church table and every neighborly get-together across the mountains, written on handwritten recipe cards with no exact measurements, just the instruction: add mayonnaise until it holds together and taste until it's right. Number 17. Sweet and spicy meatballs in the slow cooker. Grape jelly and chili sauce stirred together in equal parts inside a slow cooker, with frozen meatballs dropped right in. After 2 hours simmering in that glossy sauce, nobody could quite explain why it worked so well. It was a guaranteed presence at every holiday gathering across mountain communities, with people standing near the pot, toothpick in hand, until the bottom was scraped clean. Number 18. Cinnamon sugar toast under the broiler. White bread buttered edge to edge, covered in a thick layer of cinnamon and sugar, slid under the broiler with the oven door cracked open to watch the timing. 2 or 3 minutes later, the sugar bubbled golden. The cinnamon sugar shaker sat by the stove in every mountain home with children between 1960 and 1985, cost almost nothing, and became, for a 10-year-old standing in socks in the kitchen, the best thing anyone had ever made for them. Number 19. Cereal coated in chocolate and peanut butter. rice cereal coated in melted chocolate and peanut butter, shaken inside a paper bag with powdered sugar until every piece turned white. This treat, born in the American heartland, spread through church basements and school cafeterias across the mountains by the late 70s. The cereal stayed crunchy inside while the coating set on the outside, and nobody could stop at just one handful. Number 20. Grapefruit hedgehog with cheese and pineapple. Half a grapefruit bristling with toothpicks like a small hedgehog, each one speared with a cube of cheddar cheese and a chunk of canned pineapple. This eccentric party piece became a table centerpiece during the height of themed appetizers in the mountains through the 70s. Nobody took it seriously, but the toothpicks were always empty by the end of the night. Number 21. October popcorn balls. In the fall, these appeared throughout mountain homes, still warm, wrapped in wax paper, made by women who had been making them since before any child on the road was born. Popped corn held together with a molasses and sugar syrup, cooked to just the right point, shaped by hand into softball-sized balls while still hot enough to burn your palms. They showed up at county fairs and Halloween nights across mountain communities, until candy tampering rumors in the early 80s made this tradition nearly disappear. Number 22. Ground beef toast with processed cheese. Ground beef and pork sausage browned together, mixed with melted processed cheese, a splash of Worcestershire sauce, and oregano until it turned into a thick golden paste. Spread over slices of rye bread and broiled until bubbling, this was the last-minute recipe in mountain kitchens, one that could be made in bulk, frozen, and pulled out whenever company showed up unannounced. Number 23. No-bake oatmeal chocolate cookies. Sugar, milk, butter, and cocoa boiled together for exactly 1 minute, then pulled off the heat and stirred with peanut butter, vanilla, and oats until it thickened into a glossy, dense mass. Spoonfuls dropped onto wax paper and set within 15 minutes. In some mountain families, this cookie earned the nickname preacher cookies, because you could whip up a batch fast enough whenever the local pastor showed up unannounced. Number 24. Green spinach dip in a bread bowl. A packet of dried vegetable soup mix stirred into sour cream and mayonnaise, plus a box of chopped spinach squeezed completely dry, all served inside a hollowed-out round loaf of bread, with torn pieces piled around it for scooping. This dish ruled community gathering tables across the mountains in the late 70s, and the bread bowl itself was eaten down to crumbs. Number 25. Mountain sun-dried fruit leather. A full day of work, and the house smelled like summer the whole time. Ripe fruit, strawberries, peaches, apples, whatever the orchard had, cooked down with sugar and lemon into a thick puree, spread thin on a baking sheet, and dried in a low oven for 6 to 8 hours. What came off the tray was a flexible, glossy sheet of concentrated fruit, rolled and sliced into strips, stored in glass jars. Families with their own orchards made this by the trayful at the height of mountain summers, and nobody has that kind of patience anymore. Number 26. Fish-shaped salmon mousse. The copperfish-shaped mold hung on the wall for 11 months, decorative, shining. Then December came, and it came down. Canned salmon blended with cream cheese, gelatin dissolved in hot water, lemon, and dill made this mousse that in the 70s told dinner guests the evening was being taken seriously. Served with crackers fanned around the platter, it was a mark of special occasion in the more well-off mountain homes. Number 27. Ground ham spread on crackers. Leftover Sunday ham, ground by hand through a manual meat grinder, mixed with mayonnaise, yellow mustard, and chopped sweet pickle relish, until it turned into a spread that tasted nothing like the store-bought version. Served on saltine crackers, it was lunch, an afternoon snack, or the last-minute appetizer whenever someone dropped by unannounced. Number 28. Cheese fondue around a small flame. After fondue sets became a common wedding gift in the 70s, the ceramic pot over a small flame brought mountain families together around the table. Swiss cheese melted with dry white wine and garlic, stirred in a figure-8 motion until smooth. Cubes of bread were speared on colored forks and dipped in, pulling long strings of cheese as they came out. The rule was simple. Whoever dropped their bread into the pot bought the next bottle of wine. Number 29. Baked stuffed mushroom caps. Small mushrooms with the stems removed and finely chopped, sautéed in butter with garlic, mixed with seasoned breadcrumbs, grated cheese, and a touch of dried oregano. The filling went back into each mushroom cap and baked until golden on top. The smell alone pulled everyone into the kitchen before the tray even reached the table. Number 30. Sheet pan toasted granola. Rolled oats, honey, sunflower seeds, and coconut spread across a baking sheet and toasted until the whole house smelled like roasted nuts and warm sweetness. This homemade granola appeared in the early 70s when natural food co-ops reached the small towns around the mountains, and mothers began questioning what filled the cereal boxes at the store. Mixed with raisins after baking, it was stored in glass jars on the counter and eaten with milk, yogurt, or straight from the jar by the handful. Those kitchens went quiet, and the recipes went with them, but nearly every mountain family still has a yellowed card tucked away in a drawer, written in handwriting nobody can quite copy anymore.